directors, our members, and the residents we represent, I want to thank you for speaking with us. With nearly 80% of the province's population living in Saskatchewan's hometowns, we appreciate the official opposition's continued encouragement. Welcome, Leader of the Official Opposition, Ryan Meili.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Barnhart, for the warm introduction. And I want to thank you for your service as President of SUMA and now Municipalities of Saskatchewan, and for all your years of service in so many roles in the province. And I also want to congratulate Roger Hayward on his election yesterday as the new President of Municipalities of Saskatchewan. Really looking forward to working with you, Roger, and to getting out to NACM and meeting with you there. And I want to thank the Municipalities of Saskatchewan staff and leadership and Convention Chair Randy Golden for all the work you've done to put together a great virtual convention, to not be daunted by the challenges of this year, but really plowing ahead and doing a terrific job. It's an important day for us as we think about the moment we're in and how we chart a course to a better future. And I'm thrilled to be here at the Municipalities of Saskatchewan offices here in Regina on Treaty 4 territory, homeland of the Métis. And I want to before I start, I do want to introduce a couple of folks who are also tuning in. We've got all our opposition MLAs are joining today and joining through many of the sessions, and we know they're keen to connect with all of you. We've got our MLAs from the north, who you know well, Buckley, Belanger, and Doyle Vermette from Athabasca and Cumberland. We've got Regina MLAs Trent Wotherspoon, Nicole Sarr, and Carla Beck, and the new Regina MLAs Mira Conway and Alina Young. And from Saskatoon, we've got Vicky Mowat returning, as well as new MLAs Jen Bose, Erica Ritchie, Betty Nippy Albright, and I want to give a special introduction to Matt Love. Matt is the MLA for Saskatoon Eastview, teacher, and he's our critic for municipalities. And he's really keen to get out and learn from community leaders across the province. I want to start by saying congratulations to those leaders, those who have been re-elected, or those who are just learning the ropes in their first term in a new role. Welcome aboard, and we really look forward to working together. We know that this past year has been a challenge like no other we've ever faced, and that all the communities across Saskatchewan, large and small, have stepped up in extraordinary ways to help people and to keep each other safe. Being here today has me thinking of all the friends I've met along the way at these conventions and in travels around the province, and how much I'm looking forward to favorite local coffee shop. Until then, you know, this is one-way Zoom, and it's a little strange. It's not how we usually meet. I want you to know that we're really keen to meet in any way we can until we can be out there in person, and that Matt and I will be reaching out, but don't hesitate to reach out to us as well. Because in a time like this, the role of the official opposition is extremely important. The government's going to do their best to tell you that everything is going well. And you know, there's nothing wrong with some good old-fashioned Saskatchewan boosterism. We're all proud of the place we live in, even when it's minus 50 out. Hey, maybe especially when it's minus 50 with the wind chill, that shows us how tough we are. And I guess that's a good moment to give a shout out to all those municipal workers, Crown workers who are out there doing their job so that we can be warm and safe enough to feel like we're tough when it's this cold. But that pride shouldn't get in the way of trying to make things better. And that means being honest about the challenges we face, which is what I like about the theme of this year's convention. Stronger together. Stronger together is not just a description of where we are, of who we are, but it's an aspiration for what we can be. The more we recognize our shared interest in Saskatchewan, the more we recognize that shared interest, the more we will be stronger. We will be more prosperous. We will be healthier and happier. Stronger together. It speaks to the way in which, though we've had to be physically apart, we've leaned on each other and supported each other in new ways. And it speaks to the importance of relationship. Relationship built on respect, including respect for the autonomy of municipal leaders. An understanding that there may be tough conversations, there's going to be real disagreements, but we should have those debates directly, not just getting angry on Twitter. Now, that said, we know these are tough times, and there's bound to be some tension out there. I imagine every one of us has been short more irritable with the folks around us than we'd want to be, because it's hard. We're all sick and tired of COVID-19. I know I am. I miss seeing friends and family. Abe and Gus, my sons, they miss seeing their grandparents in Canada's most notorious city. And even though there's a risk of running into Mayor Tomey without his bathrobe, I can't wait for. And so many things about the pandemic I can't wait to leave behind, which is why I can't wait to see people in Saskatchewan get that vaccine so we can get back to the kind of life that we love. You know, a few weeks back, I was able to join in one of those early vaccine efforts at a seniors' home in Saskatoon. And it was incredible to hear the stories of pioneers and to see the hope that the vaccine brought them, the hope of being able to connect with each other and their grandkids and their loved ones once again. And when that immunization plan gets swinging again, when those vaccines are here, I can't wait to get out and deliver more shots, because the vaccine is our best hope. But in the meantime, we can't forget that just because we can see the finish line, it doesn't mean we can stop running. The vaccine is great, but the vaccine won't bring back anyone we've already lost, and it won't bring back the folks that we may lose in the days and weeks and months ahead. Because the sad truth is, we've not had a good run lately. In the last 2 weeks, Saskatchewan has had more new cases, more deaths per capita than any place in Canada. And that touches us all. I want to take this moment to express my deep condolences and regret for anyone who lost someone close to them due to COVID-19. And I'm sure everyone here has had some connection to those losses. That's just Saskatchewan. We're all connected. And the frustrating thing is, we didn't have to lose this many people. It didn't have to be this way. Back in November, as cases were starting to climb here, we looked around and we saw what was going on in Manitoba, in Alberta, in North Dakota. And so we called for early action. We didn't want to go down that road. And on November 18, we called for a 3-week circuit breaker to protect people's health against the coming surge of COVID-19 and avoid much longer and more damaging lockdowns. And we weren't alone. Over 400 doctors signed a letter calling for a circuit breaker. Nurses, pharmacists, other frontline healthcare workers all made the same call. These aren't exactly people who just work from home. These are the people on the front lines, taking care of the sick, protecting us all. And at that time in November, only 32 people had died in Saskatchewan during the entire pandemic. The Premier chose not to act decisively then. And now, not even 3 months later, over 10 times that many people have died, with 200 deaths in the last 6 weeks alone. Hundreds more have been hospitalized, thousands more have been sick or have had their lives disrupted due to outbreaks in their community, in their workplace, in their school. And those half measures, well, they've lingered on and on and on. And all of this was done in the name of protecting business, as though the virus spreading widely through our communities was somehow good for the bottom line. Pitting lives against livelihoods, that's not the choice. It's the pandemic that's bad for business. Not getting under control, not addressing it properly, that's what's hurting our economy the most. Are being told to stay home. It's the worst of both worlds, which is why so many of those who have been able to stay afloat have had to let most of their staff go. It's true. Times are tough all over, but that doesn't change the fact that we're dealing with the highest unemployment rate in Saskatchewan in over 4 years. That's a challenge we have to face together. Coming out of this time of separation stronger means recognizing that it's more than COVID-19 that's been keeping us apart. So many of the people who are struggling the most today weren't doing all that great before the pandemic either. And municipal leaders have been leaders in raising those issues and speaking up. We know that too many people in Saskatchewan are struggling with addictions. The crystal meth and opioid crises have only gotten worse. 2020 was a record year for overdoses, and so far 2021 doesn't look any better. And we still see far too many people struggling with mental health issues. And it was great to see Tristan DeRocher as part of the convention. He's been a great advocate for suicide prevention, because the reality is too many people, especially young people, First Nations and Métis people, too many Northerners, are still facing the kind of desperation that lead them to believe their only option is to take their own lives. If we're stronger together, we're investing in mental health and addictions treatment, in harm reduction, and in suicide prevention. We're investing in housing and addressing the growing rates of poverty and homelessness. We're helping the most vulnerable among us. And if we're stronger together, we're protecting vulnerable seniors who for far too long have been shuttered away in overcrowded, understaffed, unsafe care homes. For years, we've known that long-term care in Saskatchewan is broken. It shouldn't take 43 seniors dying at Extended Care Parkside and dozens more in facilities across the province to realize we need to change. But if after this we don't change, well then shame is too kind of a word. If we're stronger together, we won't get drawn into the false hope of austerity. This idea that if we cut education, cut universities, privatize healthcare, sell off what we own, that we'll somehow bounce back more quickly. The opposite is true. Austerity hurts people in the short term, and it slows down our long-term economic recovery. It's the wrong road to go down. The right road is to invest in people, and that includes doing everything we can to make sure everyone can get a job, a good job that pays a fair wage. This means supporting traditional industries like agriculture, oil and gas, mining and manufacturing to get people back on the job and Saskatchewan products to market. And it means seeking new opportunities in new industries, in solar power and geothermal, in tourism and technology. And it means we're spending our tax dollars. When we're spending those dollars on our roads and our schools and our hospitals, that it's our companies and our workers on the job. It means reinvesting in regional economic development, giving those on the ground, the people who can see those local opportunities right in front of them, giving them the support they need to lead. And it means helping small business owners who were already struggling before the pandemic, as we were already in a recession, helping them get back on their feet and their staff back on the payroll, or to take their shot as they get started on that new venture, like Kendall Netmaker did when he started out with Nietzsche Gear. To be stronger together, we need to build on what makes us stronger. We need to invest in people. And that means supporting the hometowns where they live, the communities you represent. As leaders, you've stepped up to support your residents during this pandemic, delaying taxes or utility payments, outdoor rinks, more cross-country skiing, all kinds of things that you've done to help people through this. And that's aside from the countless hours you put in trying to figure out how to respond to changing needs and the sleeplessness and worry as you've dealt with outbreaks and losses in your own communities. You support your village, your resort village, your northern municipality, your town, your city. It does the same for you. I will say that we're glad to see the Municipal Economic Enhancement Program underway. We've been calling for steady investment in infrastructure for years, and we hope it will be just that, steady, not a short-term thing, so that municipalities can make long-term plans to grow their communities based on stable and consistent support. We also still think it's time to get rid of the PST on construction labor, make those dollars go further, make them build more infrastructure, put more people to work, go even further. We also need to make sure we're not missing out on new kinds of infrastructure, because wastewater, roads, those traditional things, they are important. But there are new challenges. You know, whether it's kids studying by Zoom or businesses moving their marketing online, the pandemic showed us that being connected is not only essential in today's world, it's unequally distributed in our province. We need to use SaskTel to make sure that there's high-speed broadband internet and high-quality cell service in every corner of the province. Broadband is no longer a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. And every rural leader here knows we've been talking about this for far too long. It's time for action, or we will be left behind. We're also strongly in favor of funding represented by the PST revenue sharing approach. I will say, though, it's a real concern yesterday when I heard talk about upcoming drop funding. Leaders I spoke to have always said the great thing about this program is that municipalities share in the province's success, but they also understand that they share in the risk when times aren't as good. And that's very fair in ordinary times. These are not ordinary times. These are times when provincial and federal governments are borrowing money, are running deficits, something you can't do as municipal leaders. And I worry greatly about a big drop in revenue sharing dollars 2 years after a pandemic while communities are still recuperating. So that's why I'm committed to working with you to make sure you're not in a position where you're having to cut services or raise taxes 2 years from now. There should be a recognition from the province that in such an extraordinary time, the ordinary formula won't be enough. There is going to need to be added support for operating dollars for municipalities. That's my commitment to you. As your official opposition, we will meet with you, we will listen to you, we will work with you on behalf of the people that you serve. Because that's what it all comes down to, working together to make the best choices for Saskatchewan. Over the months and years ahead, we have our work cut out for us as this province. There's no question. We've got a lot of work to do. I want to thank you for your time and attention and for your commitment to your communities. And I look forward to reconnecting with each of you, those I've met before, and getting to know those we haven't met yet, as we all pitch in to make Saskatchewan truly stronger together. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your convention.
Thank you very much. Convention definitely looks different this year, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us online. As we all know, we are able to do so much more when we work together. That's why Municipalities of Saskatchewan works closely with other organizations like the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It is my pleasure to introduce FCM President Garth Frizzell to bring greetings on behalf of FCM and share more of their work. Garth was first elected to council in the city of Prince George in 2008. He is now serving his 4th term. Garth has been elected to FCM's Board of Directors 11 times. He has been a strong advocate for empowering local governments with the right tools to meet the needs of Canadians. With a decade of leadership in bringing local solutions to national challenges through FCM, Garth knows firsthand that when orders of government work together as partners, they get more and better results. Welcome, Garth.
Hey everyone, greetings from Prince George, BC on the traditional unceded territory of the Lheidli. So pleased to be able to address you virtually today, though of course I'd prefer to be meeting in person. Your theme this year, Stronger Together, has never been more bang on. This is definitely how FCM views our partnership with the municipalities of Saskatchewan and with all of you. It's why we're proud to represent more than 87% of Saskatchewan communities. And it's why FCM has a strong Saskatchewan contingent on our board of directors. From FCM's second vice president, Darren Hill, to municipalities of Saskatchewan President Gordon Barnhart, to Yorkton Councillor Randy Golden, who chairs FCM's Western Economic Solutions Task Force. Councillor Golden will join me in a few minutes to tell you more about our West Task Force. These folks are doing a phenomenal job bringing Saskatchewan's municipal voice to the federal table, and I consider myself very lucky to work with them. So for nearly a year, municipal leaders have been on the front lines of COVID-19, working flat out to keep people safe. And FCM has been there every step of the way, from bringing local leaders together to shaping Canada's pandemic response. Last spring, when rising costs and falling revenues plunged municipalities into financial crisis, FCM made the urgent case for emergency funding. Along with MuniSask and others, we made it clear that this crisis threatened the local services Canadians rely on, as well as Canada's recovery. The Safe Restart Agreement was a direct response to this relentless advocacy. It includes up to $8.6 billion in crucial upfront relief for municipalities, including $62 million in federal funds for Saskatchewan's communities. And that was just the beginning. Since then, FCM, MuniSask, and local leaders have driven new federal funding for affordable housing through the $1 billion Rapid Housing Initiative. And we've secured an expanded universal broadband fund to finally bring high-speed internet to rural and remote Canadians. At the same time, FCM's trusted capacity building programs continue to support municipal leadership that'll be a cornerstone for Canada's recovery. Our unique mix of funding, training, and resources help municipalities drive climate innovation, improve asset management, promote gender parity, and more. In just the past few months, we've launched brand new funding offers from FCM's Green Municipal Fund and our Municipal Asset Management Program. You can learn more about our programs at fcm.ca and check out our Green Municipal Fund virtual booth right here at the convention. So, looking ahead, FCM's top priority remains ensuring that you have the tools to see Canadians through COVID's second wave. That starts with continued operating support for the duration of the pandemic. And I can't say this enough, there will be no recovery without shoring up municipal operations first. FCM's taken that message straight to our federal partners. We're also laying groundwork for Canada's long-term recovery, one that's rooted in cities and communities. As the government's closest to daily life, your frontline expertise is going to be crucial for getting this country back on its feet and to building a better Canada. Canadians know that returning to the status quo isn't going to be enough. They're looking to their governments to bring this country back stronger than ever. That means building a Canada that's more inclusive, more sustainable and resilient, where every community has the opportunity to thrive. Local leaders can build this better Canada if we work together. So by now, your municipality's CAO has received your FCM member invoice for 21-22. Growing our national voice, it's never been more important. It's how we're going to continue to support municipalities through this pandemic, and it's how we'll position them at the heart of tomorrow's nationwide recovery. Every one of you is key to driving FCM's federal influence. So I hope you'll join us for the crucial year ahead. Local leaders have shown that united, we can rise to any challenge. So let's continue working together because we're all in this together. FCM's working hard to bring Saskatchewan's local voice to the federal table. One way we do that is through our Western Economic Solutions Task Force. So I've invited the chair of our West Task Force, Yorkton Councillor Randy Golden, to tell you more. Thank you for the work that you do every day, for your communities and for Canadians. Now here's Councillor Golden. Go Riders!
Thank you, President Frizzell. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to address fellow Saskatchewan municipal leaders and to share how FCM is supporting our province's municipalities. I'm proud to serve as chair of FCM's Western Economic Solution Task Force. You all know Western communities were facing significant economic uncertainty before the pandemic began. COVID-19 has only made things worse. As frontline governments, municipal leaders are determined to find concrete solutions. FCM's West Task Force brings together urban and rural leaders from across Western Canada to help struggling communities and to bring Western municipal perspectives to Ottawa. West is focused on 4 key areas: getting resources and products to market, energy development, climate policy and regulation, diversifying our economies, and municipal infrastructure and fiscal sustainability. West has met with Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, the MP Special Representative to the Prairies, Jim Carr, with opposition MPs and more. We're putting together forwarding recommendations for the federal government to adopt and for communities to build on. And we're getting results, folks. Last April, the federal government invested $1.7 billion into cleaning up orphaned and inactive oil and gas wells. This was a direct response to a Key West recommendation and will create 5,200 jobs, reducing environmental and safety risks. The fall economic statement also responded to a West recommendation, expanding Western Economic Diversification Canada to promote growth and innovation. This is the kind of impact FCM is having for Western communities. We understand unique realities on the ground, and we know how to make those realities heard at the federal level. Looking forward, West is working to ensure Canada's COVID-19 recovery addresses the economic needs and disparities facing our Western communities. That includes compensating farmers for the costs of carbon pricing on grain drying to support our agriculture sector, creating an energy community infrastructure fund to drive local economic development in energy producing regions, and supporting energy producing communities as Canada does the transition to net zero GHG emissions. FCM and our board of directors have been clear about the importance of developing nation-building energy infrastructure projects in a way that meets high environmental standards and contributes to a net zero emissions future. And while we don't take a position on individual projects, we're urging the federal government to support communities and regional economies that rely on the vital energy infrastructure. West priorities and FCM priority is ensuring all communities in all regions are part of Canada's recovery. To do that, folks, we need your help. President Frizzell already talked about the importance of a strong national voice for municipalities throughout FCM. Within that voice, we need a strong contingent of Western leaders to continue bringing our unique priorities to the federal table. So I urge you to renew your FCM membership or to join if you aren't a member. As Western municipal leaders, we need to stick together. United, we can make our communities stronger. We can make our province stronger, and we can make Canada stronger. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and sharing FCM's vision for building better lives. On behalf of Municipalities of Saskatchewan's board and our hundreds of members, I want to thank you for your time. Next on our agenda is dedicated trade show viewing and networking time. I encourage you to take this opportunity to network with one another through the chat and check out the booths in the virtual municipal marketplace. Don't forget, you can connect live with vendors until 2 p.m. today. I will now turn things back over to Danny.
Well, thanks very much, Gordon. Great job indeed. And I just want to remind delegates before we take this little break how you can enter to win a prize. We've got some wonderful prizes coming up later today. And you can engage with at least 5 exhibitors, and they will, and you'll be entered to win one of 2 great prize packages sponsored by Catterall and Wright. If you meet with exhibitors in their meeting rooms, they can gain chances to win. Prizes will be drawn tomorrow. They're telling me now, you're drawn tomorrow.